Okay, so here we have two sets of data, and we're going to find out what regression works best on it. So, in order to assist travelers in planning a trip, a travel guide lists the average high temperature of most major cities. The listing for Albany, New York is given in the following table. Why anybody would want a vacation in Albany is beyond me, but this is a Regions question and they try and make it real world experience. Since we're in New York, we'd go to vacation in Albany. Yeah, right. So, they want to know, can this data be represented by a line regression? So the first thing we're going to do is type the data into our calculators. All right, so again, you may have to stop and pause this video and make sure you get all these steps written down. So step 1, we enter our data into list 1 and list 2. Obviously, this is list 1 and this is list 2. We're going to learn how to do stat plot now. We want to make that scatter plot. So press second function, y equals, those are two different keys, and you will come up with the stat plots. We're going to press 1 to go into the first stat plot. Make sure that your on key is darkened. If not, it won't graph, obviously. And where it says type, we're going to choose the first type. Looks like a bunch of dots, kind of like in a little mini sine wave. Go down to X list, make sure you type list 1, and you also have to go down to Y list and type list 2 because we are looking at two sets of data by variate statistics. The next thing, it says mark. And that's just what kind of mark you want your stat plot to make. I find best if you choose the square. I like the square. So go ahead. Now that you have all that done, press graph. Now you may or may not get a picture. If no picture is there, you have to press zoom and then scroll down to number 9 to get zoom stat. And you'll get a picture. And I believe the picture you get is, I don't have it anymore, I deleted it, is our quadratic. For the most part, it looks kind of like this. I'm copying it very quickly from mine. So if we went back and answered the question, can this data be represented by a regression line? The answer would be no, because you couldn't come over here in this picture and get a line that fits most of the dots. It doesn't happen. So I'm going to take it a step further. So looks like it's a quadratic, right? It kind of looks like it's a quadratic equation. So let's see if a quadratic regression fits those dots. Again, you may want to pause the video as we go through this. Okay, go back to stat and choose calculate. Scroll down and we're going to choose number 5, a quadratic regression. We're going to tell it that we're doing a quadratic regression on list 1, comma, list 2. But we're going to add one more thing. We're going to add this variable y variable crap. So press the comma key, press the vars key, look around on your calculator, it's on the 3rd row down, 4th key in, and up pops another menu. From here we choose the y vars, then we choose one for function, and then we choose y1. So what has this done? This is going to create a quadratic equation. Go ahead, press enter. You see, it says y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So what's all that stuff below? It tells you what it believes a is. So if you were to write this out, it's y equals negative 1.6 x squared plus 22.5x plus negative 1.9, and you could just write minus there. You see, they tell you what the a, b, and c value are. They did the quadratic for you. But what's even cooler, why we did all this right here, is go ahead and press y equals key on your calculator. And look at that. It took this equation that we just figured it out, and it put it into my y equals. Now, go ahead, press the word graph again, and look at that. That solid line is this equation. And we wanted to see if that equation would go through my points perfectly. But it doesn't really. So this is not even a quadratic regression. We're going to figure out when it is and it doesn't work later on. So we're going to do one more thing. We're going to come over here and we're going to do this whole regression again. But instead of a quadratic regression, we're going to do a quartic regression. Now, normally we don't do quartic regressions, but I want you to see what will happen. So go ahead, let's do this again. Let's go to Stat, let's go to Calculate, but this time choose number 7, a quartic regression, on list 1, comma list 2. Let's paste it in the y variables by following all that. Press enter, and you see what you get? You get the general formula, y equals ax to the 4th plus bx cubed plus cx squared plus dx plus e. And then they tell you what the variable, what the coefficient a is. It's about 0.05. And then they tell you the b is about negative 1.4. And then the c is about 12. And the d is about negative 27.1. And we're running out of room. And then the e is 48.1. But again, go to y equals. There's that whole big equation typed in there. But hit graph now. And look at that. So if this was really a scientist doing all this, he would have said, even though it first looked like, I erased it, even though it first looked like it was going to be a quadratic, because it looked like that, it ended up being more of a quartic. So you would say that those points fit a quartic regression better than a quadratic. Okay, that's enough. We'll go over a little bit more tomorrow on something. I'll see you then. Bye.